The Ouija, a board many see as just a simple game, but in reality, it hides a much darker origin. At the end of the 19th century, it appeared in a newspaper ad, presented as a family pastime, a fun way to talk to the spirits. The company behind it claimed it was harmless, just wood, letters, and a glass pointer. But history soon proved otherwise. During the First World War, thousands of desperate families turned to the Ouija to speak with their sons, brothers, or husbands lost in battle. What began as simple messages turned into terrifying conversations, messages that described deaths that had not yet occurred, and names of soldiers who would never return. Even Mary Todd Lincoln, the wife of President Abraham Lincoln, admitted to using the Ouija on several occasions to contact the spirit of her murdered husband. If a first lady trusted the board, could it really be just a coincidence? In 1958, in Bridgeport, Connecticut, a family reported that after using the Ouija, they began to live through a nightmare. Plates shattered against the walls, chairs slid across the room in the middle of the night, and loud knocks echoed from the ceiling with no source. The case became so famous that the press called it the Bridgeport Poltergeist, and according to them, it all began after an innocent Ouija session. But the most chilling revelations came in the 1970s. Father Malachi Martin, one of the Vatican's most well-known exorcists, claimed that at least half of the possessions he dealt with all began the same way, with a Ouija board on the table. Today, some insist it is nothing more than a toy. Others claim it is a real doorway to the beyond. The truth is that stories keep piling up worldwide. Stories of voices answering private questions, of shadows appearing after a session, and of curses that can never be broken. The real question is not whether the Ouija works. The real question is, would you dare place your hands on it and discover who or what answers from the other side? In 1977, in Enfield, London, a family experienced one of the most famous paranormal cases in history. It began with strange knocks in the walls, objects moving by themselves, and deep voices coming from the throat of an 11-year-old girl. What few people know is that, according to witnesses, it all started after the girls in the house played a Ouija session, just for fun. Investigators documented hundreds of unexplained events, chairs floating into the air, boxes thrown violently against walls, and young Janet hurled from her bed by an invisible force. The Enfield case inspired movies like The Conjuring 2, but the truth is far more terrifying than fiction. Decades later, in 1995, in a small town in Mexico, a group of students decided to play the Ouija during a party. One of them jokingly asked, "When will I die?" The pointer moved slowly, spelling out a very specific date. July 13, 1995. Some laughed, others were horrified. But when that day came, the boy died in a car accident. The Ouija had predicted it weeks in advance. In 2001, in Madrid, Spain, a teenager named Estefania Gutierrez Lazaro participated in a Ouija session with friends at her school. During the session, the board suddenly broke apart, and the girl began convulsing without explanation. Months later, Estefania died. Her family claimed that from then on, their home was plagued by dark presences, shadows, voices, and crucifixes falling from the walls. The case even reached the police, and the official report admitted to unexplained phenomena. Today, it is known as the Vallecas case. Each of these stories reveals the same truth. The Ouija is not just a game, it is a door that, once opened, does not always close. And the most unsettling part is that it doesn't matter where you play it or who you are, because what comes through from the other side always finds a way to stay with you. In the age of the internet, the Ouija has not disappeared. Instead, it has found a new stage: YouTube videos, Twitch live streams, and the cameras of urban explorers. In 2014, a group of young people in Peru streamed a Ouija session live. At first, it looked like a joke, nervous laughter, and silly questions. But suddenly, the candles went out on their own. The pointer moved violently without anyone touching it, and one of the boys collapsed on the floor, screaming with a voice that was not his own. The video went viral, and thousands of viewers swore they heard strange whispers that didn't come from any of those present. In Spain, in 2019, a group of urban explorers decided to play with the Ouija inside an abandoned hospital in Toledo. As they asked their questions, their camera captured something chilling. A heavy metal door, locked with chains, slowly opening by itself, as if someone invisible wanted to enter. They dropped everything and ran. To this day, none of them have dared to return. More recently, in 2022, a Mexican YouTuber recorded his Ouija experience inside a cemetery at midnight. Among his questions, he asked for a clear sign that someone was listening. And at that very moment, his microphone picked up a whisper, calling his name, even though he was completely alone. The video reached millions of views, and many followers claimed to see a dark silhouette behind him, a figure that vanished the moment he turned the camera. Today, more and more evidence appears on the internet. Videos, audios, testimonies. Some call them hoaxes, but others believe the Ouija still works the same way it did a century ago, by opening doors that no one can control. Because if time has shown anything, it is that the Ouija does not care about countries, cultures, or eras. It doesn't. It matters if it's an expensive board, a digital version on a phone, or one drawn by hand on a piece of cardboard. What matters is the intention. Because when you place your hands on the pointer and ask who is there, someone or something always responds. Some say the Ouija is nothing but superstition. Others believe it is the oldest technology we know, a tool that allows us to reach into the unknown. But every story, every testimony, hides the same warning. The spirits you call are not always the ones who answer. Many experts in the paranormal claim that the board does not connect you to the dead, but to something far more dangerous, entities that imitate voices, pretend to be loved ones, and slowly gain your trust. Until one day, you realize they were never who you thought they were. Imagine asking for your grandmother, and receiving her voice, her words, her laughter, but later, that same voice whispers things she would never say. That is why so many people fear the Ouija, not because of what it shows you, but because of what it hides. And if you're wondering whether to try it for yourself, remember this. Every time you use the Ouija, you are the one opening the door. The question is, will you be able to close it?